All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this week's market debrief. Okay, we start with the S&P 500 index. As we know, the U.S. market has been dropping for the past 3 days. All right, this is on Thursday, Friday. Monday was a public holiday in the U.S. And then last night, it did another drop of like almost 3%. All right, so what we can see that this drop, right, is mainly done by the tech companies, your tech stocks like Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Tesla, and such. That are mainly in the Nasdaq. Okay, so this is the Nasdaq index. Okay, it has a much steeper drop of almost 5% last night. Okay, so it's mainly all by the big tech companies. So what we should be expecting, right, is that there will be more weakness to come in the following days or following week. Okay, so at this moment, what we can see is that the S&P 500 is doing a rebound. Okay, in during the Asia market. So, but the thing is, anything can happen overnight. Okay, there might be some bad news or there are further selling carry on. Okay, so we can only be firm and come tomorrow morning when we wake up. Okay, so but what I would say that this is a steep pullback. It's roughly almost 10% down. Okay, so um, we just have to be careful with our position in Singapore. Okay, so among the three, the Nasdaq is the weakest. I've been through that, and then there is this thing: the oil prices are coming down too. Okay, so this is the crude oil, UK oil, all right, and then this is the US oil futures. Okay, so let's let's take away this. Okay, so we can see that the oil futures is dropping also for the past few days since like last Wednesday. Okay, so your oil and gas sector is weak. So little like your Keppel Corp, Sembcorp, Marine, and all these oil and gas companies, it will be best or is one of the weakest sector. So it's best to avoid those companies at the moment. Okay, so let's go on to the Hong Kong market. Okay, last week I mentioned that Hong Kong has been trending on this lower support line, okay, and just waiting for a catalyst to break below. So what happens is the US sell down is a catalyst, okay, and it causes this Hang Seng to trade below this trend line. All right, so what we can see is there might be further weakness in the Hong Kong market, and this drop is also mainly by the Hong Kong financial banks, banks in Hong Kong and China. So that's the cause of the drop. So as I've mentioned or explained last week, so what I saw today is that there are a lot of buying happening in the banks or ICBC, BOC, and stuff. Okay, so this is so-called like the intermediate support over here. It's a weak support. So we like to see how it turns out. There's some rally happening or buying happening today. Okay, and for China, similarly, it has a sell down, but mainly this is I don't think there's much to be concerned of because this is what I'm expecting, a big consolidation happening within this range. Okay, so whereas for Singapore, Singapore among all the global markets is one of the weakest, and probably because it's the weakest and it's already at the support or right at the bottom or near bottom, that the sell down in the US didn't cause a panic sell in Singapore. Probably the weak hands has already sold, and then no one else is selling. These are some of the possible reasons, and it's already a lot of the prices are like quite dirt cheap. Okay, so Singapore, but the thing is, we have to wait for the US market to finish its selling, its correction. And if Singapore still hold on to this, then I would say we have a very big positive sign, when market rebound or turn back up. Okay, so if you can continue trading sideways or hold on, right, and not sell down or break below, then there is a very good sign. But as of this moment, it's still considered weak, and it can just break below anytime. Okay, so let's go to the stocks. Last week I've mentioned that the sector that is coming up is the REIT sector. Okay, so if we go through the REITs, right, most of the REITs do not have much selling happening when the US sell down. SNS has a small sell down, and then it just basically traded sideways or even tried to rally up. Okay, so these are some positive signs, I would say. Fraser Logistic. Okay, there's not much selling, but I would say it will still be in a consolidation pattern, and is holding well. Parkway Life REIT. Okay, it has been rallying, one of the strongest in the short term basis. Okay, so we can't really buy into this because Parkway has always been trading at a premium. Okay, it's always like what 1.5, 2 times its book value. All right, yeah, 2 times book value, and then its yield is only like 3%. So it's not really like worthwhile. When you start to see Parkway like have a big sell down, then if you like that to be in your portfolio, then you can accumulate. It's not much for trading. In terms of liquidity, it's not there. But just to show you that this is the why this sector I mentioned that is coming up, is strong. Or growing in strength, this sector. So this is Escort REIT. There is this rally, okay, and then it's called pause. There's a small pause, so it's trying to turn up. Okay, so but because of the sell down in US, is affecting the whole market, affecting the whole sentiment. Okay, so you just have to be patient. If this did not sell down as the US sell down, then is strong. Okay, so what I'm mentioning about this, right, is called what you call relative strength. It's a comparison of how well a stock is the strength of the stock in terms of technical chart, right, compared to another chart. For example, the STI index, or for example the S&P 500 index. Okay, so in terms of relative strength, right, I would say these are quite strong because it's holding well. Okay, whereas if you compare like a week ago or 2 weeks ago or even last month, then in terms of relative strength, the US market or the Nasdaq market is considered very strong. Okay, so now in the short term basis, in the past 1 week, right, I would say the REITs are gaining in strength compared to the general market. This is Fraser Centerpoint Trust. Okay, last week already mentioned this one is quite strong. It already broke out, and then it continued to trade outwards. This rally is due to news. I think they are making some acquisition in some properties. Okay, so that's one of the reason why it's trading upwards, and then also one of the reason is also because of the um, Australia Sing dollars. Okay, the Aussie dollars is gaining in strength against the Sing dollars, and Fraser, the whole Fraser group, Fraser Law, Fraser Centerpoint, or Fraser Properties, and all this, right, generally have a much bigger exposure to the Australian market. Okay, so in a stronger Australian dollars will come to have a bigger or more so-called earnings in terms of Sing dollars. So that's why the Fraser's group of companies seems to be stronger compared to the rest. Then this REIT, mainly the property at 313, I think 313 Somerset. Okay, so it is showing a pattern of that is trying to turn up, but also because of, well, because of the sell down is so-called like bidding its time, waiting its time. So I'd like to see if this one can break above this 66 half. This is Faiz Hospitality Trust. Not too sure why the compared to Escort or Fraser Lock, it has like, it seems to be performing better. Okay, so at this moment is at its crucial point, is trading as its resistance and is also meeting with the 200-day moving average. This is an inflection point. It can turn up, change trend, or it can even come all the way back down, like the crude oil. It tests its 200-day moving average and then it just turn back down. Okay, so we like to see how this one turns out. This is forming like a saucer pattern or a cup pattern. If you can form a nice handle pattern and then do a breakout, right, then this is a very, very positive sign, at this break of 57 half area. Okay, so if you like, you can to invest in the long term. You can look at this particular stock. Okay, Faiz Hospitality Trust. This is Suntec REIT. Okay, Suntec REIT recently had this rally up, but then today had this news. It came out its results. So in terms of result, I would say is as per normal. Definitely performed badly or as compared to last year. All right, so yeah, you can see the distribution per unit has dropped like 31%. They had this distribution retained. Okay, most of its earning has dropped. Okay, revenue drop, net property income drop, mainly because the Suntec convention is also closed. Still cannot be open, or no events or gathering is being able to or allowed to be held. So Suntec convention is basically contributing zero, or it's like negative, due to maintenance and all this stuff. Okay, so I would say this is like normal. Okay, so most likely I will say it's going to pull back. Okay, and then from there we'd like to see. So the main thing is we don't want to rush in to buy, but what we want to see is for the correction in the US, right, to finish before we decide whether to go long or to accumulate or trade. So these are mainly the REITs that show strength, the bigger one, more reputable one. They are also like the Maple group of companies, like Maple Industry. They are going through a consolidation right now. Okay, consolidation. So we like to showing showing a similar pattern like the Ascenders REIT. So you can just choose one, that you think is you like, or you want to take the biggest one, Ascenders REIT, and then you just invest in that. Okay, so in terms of the banks are still hovering at its support, following the STI. Okay, this is for DBS. As I mentioned last week, DBS chart pattern seems to be the strongest among the three banks. Okay, but nonetheless, it's still all hovering around its support area. Okay, so this is DBS. This is OCBC Bank. All right, still hovering around its support area. Okay, and UOB. Okay, so still trading around its support area. So that, as I've repeatedly mentioned again, if the correction continues to go down in the US, but the banks didn't go down, the STI didn't go down, or whatever shares that you see, right, in terms of price movement didn't go down. Okay, it's a big cap stocks that most people will look at or funds will want to invest in. When market starts to rebound, these stocks tends to move first. Okay, so the next section I'm talking about is stocks that didn't fall in the past 3 days when the US correct. Okay, so this I would like to monitor more closely. Once the correction is over, these are some of the stocks that I would like to trade first. Okay, so this is Silver Lake axis. So the past few days, the company has been doing share buyback. All right, so the price has maintained. No big selling, volume has dropped. While it's consolidating. So market weak, general market sentiment is weak, right? Nobody will be selling or pushing the price up unless there is special news that comes out. So I would say this is a positive sign, as it's trading or trying to cross above the 200-day moving average. Okay, so just monitor this closely. If it starts to run, it might run fast also, like this, just one bar. Okay, so this is Silver Lake. Venture. Okay, so despite being there's a sell down, it gap down together with US, but it traded upwards. People buy up, or I would say funds buy up. This gap down is due to dividend. Okay, a dividend here of 25 cents. Oh, it used to be 50 cents. So they have cut dividend 25 cents. All right, so but the market, the price dropped like $1. Okay, so despite the dividend, it drops more than the dividend. Okay, so that's a pretty big drop. Also in line with the US. And but the thing is, today it has a buy up. Okay, so this proved to be a very strong price support area. Okay, this $18.70. All right, so we'd like to see if we can continue its consolidation with this type of gap down, right? Most likely it's going to consolidate for a longer period of time. So we'd like to see this. Similarly, if uh, if this one didn't drop as the US market correct, then you should look at this. Genting. Okay, there's not much selling happening the past few days as the market drop. So in fact, there are volume coming in to buy up. Okay, on this day and even on this day. Okay, so there seems to be some support here. All right, so just for those traders, you might be want to take a look at this. Yang Zhejiang, I've not mentioned this stock for quite some time. All right, last I mentioned was somewhere here. Okay, after this false breakout and then rally back up. So it has been consolidating here, as I mentioned before. Most likely it will consolidate in this area until it reaches its ending point or sharp point. Okay, so this will be starting to be interesting. Okay, similarly, wait for the correction over, and you just put your alert on both sides. All right, so it might break out on the upside or even on the downside. So it depends on the market sentiment and how this one turns out. So just don't jump the gun yet, because right now it's still consolidating. We want the market to choose its sides first, whether up or down, and then you trade accordingly. Okay, this is Comfort Delgro. So you can see that despite the market sell down, it is basically just trading sideways. So I would say there is some strength in this. All right. So you might want to look at this for those who want to invest for dividends or for stable income or stable stock. So this one gives like what 1.2 price to book value, and it's giving a yield of like 3.5%. Not that much. Also because their earnings drop also due to COVID, less transport happening. Okay, so mainly these are the stocks that I see that is maintaining, probably because it's really dropped a lot, and there's nowhere else to drop anymore. Okay, you reach a price where investors or funds are willing to buy and support it. Okay, so these are some of the reasons why I think that Singapore market didn't really drop much. But if the US continue to correct and go back into bear market territory again, then then that might cause some panic among investors. All right, so we just have to monitor first. Don't be in a hurry to get in. Okay, so that's all for Singapore market. We take a look at the US market. What are the stocks are mainly that is dropping? Okay, which because I recently saw some people buying into Apple. I mean it's still not time. Okay, Apple has made a new high and then it did its so-called share split. All right, so after basically share split at right at the top lah. Okay, so we shouldn't, because it was like 400 plus and then it dropped down to 100 plus, then people start to go in and buy. They thought that Apple had crashed, but in fact it was actually a share split. So actually now the fundamentals has changed. So what I will see is that, like for example, the previous drop was about 30%. Okay, so if this one can drop like 30% to like $80, you might want to take a look at that, for those Apple fans or people who believe in lifestyle products. Whereas those who are geared for productivity, office, Windows-based kind of company, Microsoft. So similarly, Microsoft previously here had a drop of about 29% to 30%. Okay, so similarly here, you want to see if you can drop like 30% down to about $160. Okay, so if it does that, then probably you might want to accumulate, if you like Microsoft. Then there are, I mean, if you are a gamer, like to play games, you think this COVID has made people play more mobile games, um, or PC games. So this is Take-Two Interactive. Okay, whereas if you believe more in mobile games or Asian type of games, then you go for Tencent, listed in Hong Kong. Okay, so Hong Kong, this Tencent, um, it is basically doing a consolidation at the moment. All right, at this moment, and then the support here is at 500. Okay, so if this 500 did not break, and it starts to turn back up, right, then you can consider trading this all the way to 560, and then hopefully it break thereafter. Okay, so if it breaks down even better lah, then you can buy at a cheaper price. So this is Tencent. That's all I have for this. Like the US market, the biggest drop is basically Tesla. I mean, if you do follow the US market, okay, so I mean these are mainly the some of the stocks that drive the Nasdaq, is all-time high, and right now the recent sell down. That's all for today. So in summary, right, just be patient. Okay, the market right now is doing a correction, and then we just need to follow the stocks that did not drop much or trading sideways, quiet, while the market is all having a mayhem or panic selling. Okay, so those are stocks which you want to look at. All right. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you, everyone. See you guys next week.